Welcome to Rico 12. I'm Justin, your host and a beautifully imperfect, stumbling, bumbling child of an absolutely powerful and perfectly loving God and an addict. Rico 12 is all about exploring the common threads of addiction and sharing tools and hope from those on a similar path. We gather from diverse backgrounds, faiths, and places to learn and support one another, and our speakers represent various fellowships, addictions, and afflictions, thus showing the common threads of recovery, no matter our situation. Today's speaker for the 253rd meeting is Babe K, a previous speaker on Rico 12 on meeting number 198. And if you haven't heard that episode, I highly recommend checking it out also. After you listen to this one is fine. Babe's enthusiasm and energy are contagious, and I really enjoy being in the same room as him. He's an amazing person. I look forward to hearing his message on his chosen topic, a design for living, here in a few minutes. But first, for just a little bit of business. Rico 12 has several recovery resources in our family of podcasts and social media communities. To learn more, listen more, connect more, just hang out and learn and grow with us. You can check out the other podcasts that you can find at www.rico12.com. You can join in our social media communities. I've got some links here in the chat, and they'll be in the show notes of the podcast. Or you can send an email to me at rico12pod@gmail.com. And you can connect with our speakers. You can ask questions and just get connected with us. Rico 12 is self-supporting, and your contributions help us continue our mission. Thanks to our spearheads for new and repeat contributors. If you also feel the desire to become a spearhead and support this cause, visit www.rico12.com/support or click on the links in the show notes and in the chat for one-time or monthly donations. Your support does make a difference in keeping us able to share these messages of recovery. Rico 12 is also grateful for ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts. It's been a bit since I've read any of these, but I'm going to read one of these today. Recently, 12 and 12 Forever said, "What I love most about each Rico 12 episode is how each speaker has a willingness to share their vulnerability. These very raw and authentic shares has allowed me to reflect on my own past." Thank you so much, 12 and 12 Forever. If anyone else feels inspired to rate and review Rico 12, please consider doing so. It really does make this project more visible to people seeking a solution to their problems. We look forward each meeting to receiving from the light reflected from our speakers. That light inspires hope, meaning, worth, and growth in us, the listening audience. Now I'm going to introduce our guest speaker for today, Babe K, and give just a little background on him. Babe was separated from alcohol on March 2nd, 2002. His initial experience with the fellowship was unspectacular, but he immediately fell in love with the big book. Through the process and discipline of the 12 steps, he has been given a life of useful joy beyond his wildest dreams. Today, his topic is entitled A Design for Living. Take it away, Babe. The floor is yours.
It should be. I paid for the house. I love it. I was just telling Justin, my brain is going like a movie house popcorn machine. I got these ideas and they're overflowing, and I just pray to God that He puts them together in some kind of cohesive order. And two new thoughts came in: the vulnerability thing from the 12 and 12 person. We come in here with these walls we build around our heart to keep out the pain. They also keep out the joy. Tear down the walls. Let somebody know what you're thinking. Let them know your pain. Let them know your sorrow. Let them help you find a God that will solve your problem. I am not a counselor, nor a taxi or a bank, but reach out. That's one of the first most valuable things we learn in here, is that maybe, just maybe, I can trust these other people because they seem as messed up as I am. And I guarantee I am one of the screwiest people that is on this screen and anywhere else that you're going to meet. I can't believe my friggin' life. And so where this design for living that really works, and where does that, I have no idea where I'm going to start. I have no idea where I'm going to go. And I have no idea where this is going to end up, except with the prayer of St. Francis. And that's our job description. But what does this life look like? We come in here so broken, so hurt. And, page 8 changed my life when Bill says, no words can express that loneliness, despair, that bitter morass of self-pity. Quicksand spread around him. Alcohol was his master. That's why we talk in metaphors around here, because if you haven't experienced that loneliness and despair, indescribable desperation, anything I say won't mean anything to you. And if you have experienced it, I say, welcome to the club. I don't have to describe it. You live it. I'm hiding behind these walls. I can't face life. And so I got in here so broken, so desperate that, and then I got the book and I'm reading on page 8. What does Bill tell us? And I liked my little bio. I didn't know what I'd written on meeting. I like being number 253. That's a maybe I'll play 196, 253 in the lotto. And then I will be rich and famous and I'll never have to go to AA. Money, properties, prestige, romance don't mean a damn thing to me. Love means everything to me. Romance is a byproduct sometimes. At least it's a fond memory. but this life that to be so broken, what does Bill tell us? How dark it is before the dawn. That he's soon to be catapulted in this, what he calls a fourth dimension of existence. A life of usefulness and joy that gets more wonderful as time passes. It's a wonderful life. Let's talk about Christmas movies. Told you my brain is going goofy today. No man can be a failure, George, if he has friends. That's pretty friggin' profound. That's the fellowship of AA that we find here. Understanding and companionship. I don't even like these jerks. You know, it says we'll have a host of new friends. That's the great news. The questionable news is we're them. You're stuck with us whether you want me or not. Do I absolutely love every single person I meet? I love the idea of God in every single person I meet. But what does Bill's have, and what is this design for living of which Bill talks? I didn't come up with that line. And, I hate people that read. So I will. So Bill had this beautiful, what the heck page am I on? Okay. I'm reading this book that you might consider looking at. You can also use it to balance your wash machine, but it will get wet and it won't hold up well. They don't hold up well anyway. I think that's a plot by World Services. But I do like the thing that if your big book is falling apart, it probably means that your life is not. That's a cute little quip that is so true. So here Bill's in Charlietown's hospital because Abby came bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, crackpot on booze. Now he's a crackpot on religion, but the old boy was on fire, all right. And he got Bill fired up until Bill got drunk again. Bill, yeah, I'll find a God of my understanding. Thanks for the information. And then Whirly Clamors ended him up back in Charlietown's spin dry. And there's where he had that beautiful spiritual experience that turned into the 12 steps, all conveniently written on one page, page 13, in case you haven't. If you ever got to page 13 in your book, I suggest you might want to get started. It's a lucky number, by the way. Now I got numbers in my head. Holy shit. And Abby, of course, didn't stay sober, but Abby promised when these 11 steps are done, that Bill would enter a new relationship with my creator, that I would have the elements of a way of living which answered all my problems. What's a design for living but a way of living? Living these first 11 steps. Whoa, what an order. I can't go through with it. As some of these we balked. And I like it that Bill picked step 6 when he made that reference. He balked at step 6. I always thought it was at 3. I gotta believe in God. But step 6 is where Bill balked because am I willing to do this for the rest of my life? Strive for the perfection which is of God. I don't even know if there is a God, much less what his perfection is. Well, the way you're doing it, babe, is probably the opposite. I was kidding with Monica. I thought the design for living, maybe I'd flip it and turn my talk into a design for dying that is sure to work. We've tried it. Jails, institutions, and death. That's a design for dying. Am I willing to buy into this seemingly, it makes no sense. Get a spiritual experience or die. Huh? But what does Bill say? And he took them, and I mean, he was rocketed. You know that he learned how to pray. He learned how to meditate. He learned how to test his thinking. He learned how to do inventory. He learned how to make amends. All this sitting in the spin dry, and he was happy, joyful, joyous, and free. Whoa! There was a sense of victory, followed by such peace and serenity as he'd never known. There was utter confidence. He was lifted up. Whoa, that's Billy on the rocket. Read right across the page what happens. He's overcome with self-pity and depression. And I don't want to misquote the old boy, although he was good at misquoting shit. That's and he and Lois abandoned themselves to this life with enthusiasm. Helping other alcoholics is the solution to their problem, which that is the truth. That is the design. But then he says he was still plagued by waves of self-pity and resentment. This sometimes nearly drove him back to drink. So he's had this white light experience. He never calls it a white light experience, by the way, but he had it anyway, and he was loving it, and he thought he was utter confidence until he was overcome with waves of self-pity and depression, and that may be the pink cloud, you know. I don't know, the 1 in 12, but he's had a vital spiritual experience. He'd been rocketed, but he's still overcome until he gets up off his feet and goes to Charlietown's hospital and works with another alcoholic. And it says he's miraculously set on his feet. And well, I might as well keep reading because it's where the topic is. That he soon found when all other measures failed, which means don't crawl into a closet and prant Om Mani Chedme Om for 22 hours. Whatever you do, don't try cheap beer or expensive scotch. That's the design for dying. But he's kind of, but anyway, okay, on talking to a man there in the spin dry, he would amazingly be lifted up and set on his feet. And here it is. It is a design for living that works in rough going. I suggest these 12 steps are a design for living in any kind of going. Life is a going deal. Sometimes bumpy, sometimes smooth. My wife would say, hold on to your tits, girls. The ride's going to get bumpy. It's an exciting, joyful, amazing ride through this life. But I just want to quit drinking. I just want to hang in there one day at a time. Oh my God, this is the most amazing thing. That's why my brain is going like the popcorn machine. And on page 19, I got a page number right. I love because we hear people, few of us make a vocation of this. They don't finish the paragraph. Because what they usually say, none of us makes a sole vocation of this work, that we're the guy that, armed with the facts about ourselves, we can approach a man and say, you can have rocket ships, you can have catapults, you can have a life beyond your wildest dreams. And if you want to, I'll tell you how I did this. And these guys that wrote this book, I did what they said, and I got what they got. Go figure. But anyway, so that's the vocation he's talking about. Nor do we think its effectiveness would be increased if we did. So, but people say we don't make a sole vocation of this. That means I'm back out chasing the money, the job, the car, the girl, money, property, prestige, and romance. I gotta go to work. I got bills to pay. I still have bills. I don't do work anymore. But I love this. All of us spend much of our spare time in this sort of effort, which we're going to describe. And here's me now. A few of us are fortunate enough to be so situated in English, it says, that they can give nearly all their time to this work. To me, this work is sharing this journey of life with all God's kids, not just alcoholics. Every single person I meet, day in and day out, if I could practice loving, this is Ayakema. Somebody sent this to me in an email years ago. Babe, this sounds just like you. It says, unless we practice loving feelings toward everyone we meet, day in and day out, we're missing out on the most joyful part of life. Practice love. It's Terry Bear calls it the compassion muscle, the love muscle, and it's not between my legs. It's in my heart. And that's what we get to share with each other. So what is my experience is my past, all the lessons hard fought with claw marks on them that I've learned. And we share our experience. And then we share our hope that if you do this, you can get the strength. It's experience, strength, and hope. What is my strength? Trust and rely on the spirit of the universe. Trust and rely on love. Go out and carry this message to all God's kids, not just in the rooms, not just in the grocery store, especially in the speed checkout line. If I'm the old gimpy guy with the cane and I got 10 items in the 9-item checkout list, do I say, fart can't even count to 10? Or do I do the roll your eyes meditation? Geez, here we go again. Or do I practice a little more spirituality and say, God bless the old guy. I hope he gets out of here. I hope he doesn't die right here in the aisle. I learned the most spiritual thing is quit counting. Let people live their life. Hold out their hand. Help the old geezer. None of you live near me, but I could use, I only buy what I can carry. But to be of maximum service to God and our fellows. That's this design for living. And when somewhere in there it says elimination of our drinking, I think that's page 19 too, is just the beginning. This is so much more than just put the plug in the jug. Don't drink no matter what. All I want to do is quit drinking. Excellent start, because you aren't going to get anything else if you don't do that part. But do you want this design for living that exceeds our fondest dreams? Look, I'm going to be bouncing out. Well, you already tell I'm bouncy. And I hear people say, intensive work with another alcoholic is the insurance policy against me getting drunk. That's not a quote. So am I helping you just as an insurance policy? They give us 2 pages to live in that little bit of selfishness. Then they say that becomes secondary. To see the light come on in someone's eyes, to walk shoulder to shoulder with the newcomer on the spiritual path. And what does it say? Follow the dictates of a higher power, and you and this new goofball will enter a new and wonderful world. Bill told us that on page 8. What is this new and wonderful world? That we live in the world of love and compassion, that we get to care about you more than I get to care about me. And, like Monica says, I'm just a meat vessel. And this meat vessel is my carriage. It's what now I have to drag it around with me. It's falling apart. I wake up in pain every single day from my arthritis. And I get a kick out of this story. I don't know if people do, but I got a 74-year-old prostate that makes me really have to go to the bathroom in the morning. And I got arthritic knees that are just screaming in pain. So I'm trying to waddle to the bathroom and not piss down my pants. And I'm saying the 3rd step prayer, and I say, God, I offer myself to thee. And then I laughed out loud. I said, and what a prize I am. You probably don't even want me. I'm falling apart. How can you be happy that, I can't go fishing anymore. I can't go hunting anymore. Hell, I had to quit playing golf, the sport of last resort. My life is so lonely. My wife died. Y'all know the story of the joyful experience of my wife's death. Huh? That's this design for living. That God put us together for 46 years, and through her whole 15 months until she died right here where I'm sitting, of cancer, we laughed every single day. Joy is happy and free, it says. How can you laugh? It's the darkest time of your life. And in meditation, I was taken into the world of the spirit, and God put in my heart, babe, in my world, somebody's saying, this is the best day of my life. I fell in love. We're having a baby. I won the lotto. I don't know what floats your boat. But somebody's saying this is the best day of my life, and from that moment on, and now I can think it's bad. I could get out a calendar and find out when it was she died, but doesn't really matter. Can't change the fact. Just like we never asked for a prognosis on her cancer. If I thought I knew something, it doesn't change the fact of what we had. And that's a little aside too. The radiation doctor came out crying, babe, Katie, and he literally was crying. I hate to tell people like you two, that there's nothing else we can do. But the kicker was, he said, babe, if you'd asked me for a prognosis, how long Katie had 14 months ago, I would have told you no more than 2 months. Thank God I didn't ask the doctor to tell me how long she had. I'm pretty sure the doctor's teacher determines how long somebody's around. And the doctor's teacher is the same teacher you and I have if we get in touch with them. We wake up. Spiritual awakening is the result of these steps. This whole life is all step 12. Having had this spiritual awakening that's amazing that Bill had, this rocket ship, this life that I never even imagined. And then I try to carry this message to the alcoholic who still suffers. I try to. What is the message that I try to carry? That you can have a spiritual awakening that will revolutionize your whole attitude toward God, toward the universe, toward all the kids on the playground. You will experience the central fact of your life is the absolute certainty that your Creator's entered your heart and lives in a way that's indeed miraculous. We hear, if you want what we have, that this is on page 25. The other one I know. I only know about 2 pages. But if you want to know what they have, it says, we have had deep, effective spiritual experiences that revolutionize. They would think there should be a revolution. Justin was playing Beatles song. There is a revolution going on in our heart, our mind, our soul, our joy, our life. When I just submit to this process, reach out my hand, change somebody's life. Well, what's in it for me? Nothing but a life beyond your wildest dreams. Why do I make these amends? So I get those participation trophies in the 9-step promises. No, it's so to fit you to be a maximum service to God and the kids. It ain't about what I get at all. It's about what I give. That's why I cringe at the insurance policy idea. Oh, good, I get to stay sober. I haven't had a thought of a drink in years. But my life gets bigger and bigger and better because I'm mixing it up with all God's kids. What does it tell us? Get out onto the fight. Somebody better tell me when it's time to shut up or else go buy lunch. What can I pack into the stream of life? Get on the firing line of life. Going to the post office is a goddamn adventure. Painful though it may be. Going to the grocery store. People want to smile. Give somebody a chance to smile. Practice these loving feelings. It's amazing just to, even when my legs hurt, and I'm trying to get through all these too big a friggin' store, but they got the best deals. I'm still cheap. But just look somebody in the eye and smile. You'll be amazed before you're halfway through. There's a stand in the checkout line and try to get 5 of them laughing. Bring a little light and joy and love into somebody's life. Well, bring it. The prayer that I'm going to end with, the prayer of St. Francis, is God playing not Nemo, but the guy in the Matrix. Bring it. God saying, bring it. Bring hope, joy, light, love. This is, I heard someone saying, oh, when I say that prayer, I get compassion, I get forgiveness. No. It says, help me bring it. Get off your butt. Go to Charlie Towns Hospital. Talk to some goofball guy that doesn't think life is worth living. Piss him off with your joy at life. What we say might disturb him. Then, like Care Bear says, the original manuscript says it pisses him off. But to go out there and be an example, the prayer could say, make me an example of your peace. Make me an instrument. I like being an instrument. You can play me like a harp, or I might be an instrument of destruction. I may be a hammer. I might be a saw. I'd rather be a hammer than a nail. We were doing Simon and Garfunkel. I told you my brain is going goofy today because mostly because I woke up thinking, well, some of you got my little text, and I'm not going to talk about the perfection paradox, but waking up, what is this design for living? What makes this all worthwhile is living. Years ago, a young girl came up to me and, babe, and she was only half serious, but she says, babe, you're just so damn happy I want to punch you. And I didn't know how to respond. All I could think of to do is give her a hug. How do you respond? Well, I'll have a crappy day if it'll make you feel better. I actually I was speaking at a meeting, and one woman actually said, I like going to those meetings where everybody talks about their problems, because when I hear theirs, mine don't seem so bad and I feel better. That is not a design for living that works in rough going or beyond your wildest dreams. Our imagination is fired. Then when he has us meditating on the prayer of St. Francis, that is this ideal that we form in the meditation in step 4. By the way, we ask in meditation to form a sane and sound ideal. How am I going to treat God's kids? Not just with sex. Sex is just throwing gas on the relationship's fire. How do I treat all of God's kids? Help me form a sane and sound ideal how to play with other people. And it says we can imagine ourselves. I'm not crazy about fake it till you make it. In meditation, imagine a better you, living and loving in God's world. And if I can imagine it, I can try to achieve it. So it's not just faking it. It's actually doing what I've imagined myself to do. I got to be running out of time. So I will end with a Thomas Merton thing. I did a whole talk, so don't get me started, that if you have a problem with the word God, put the word love in there. Love, I offer myself to you. Build with me and do with me. Make me more loving. And I mean, you can use, and I do believe, and so did Thomas Merton, that God is love. That's not all God is, but that I'm a panentheist. I had a sponsee and we were talking about panentheism. Don't get me started on that too. I told you I'm a popcorn machine. But this whole idea of love, I think the universe is inclined toward love. Deep in the heart of every man, woman, and child is a fundamental idea of love, not the love that I get. That Beatles song is equal to the love I give, the love I share, the love I put out. Bill Wilson, as Bill sees it, my page 37, another page, the only one I know in that whole damn book. But outgoing love is the finest emotion a human can know. To learn to love. And when we're so wounded, we're so hidden, so shut off from the world that booze or drugs or sex or chocolate cakes or I don't know, pick something is the only way. I can't get no satisfaction. We haven't even done the Rolling Stones. But that is the selfish, self-centered life, that it's what's in it for me. And this design for living is what's in it for you. How can I change your life? Take my hand, walk with me. That's the blessing that we get in the 5th step, like Mo wrapped in the God blanket. Me and you ripping off our masks, back to the vulnerability, hey, we can start this meeting over now. The 12 and 12 guy. Sharing our deepest, darkest secrets, actually being vulnerable and leaving, knowing that God has forgiven me, knowing that in this universe, there is one person that's always going to have my back, is always going to love me no matter what, and I never have to have a secret from this person. That's why I think this 5th step is the most spiritual of all the steps. We feel the nearness of our Creator. And then we go on to, I'm not going to take you through the rest of the steps because I only got us to 5. But this idea of living in love. And what Thomas Merton says, love is our true destiny. We do not find the meaning of life by ourselves, this design for living. We do not find the meaning of life by ourselves alone. We find it with another. Me and you walking hand in hand, tiptoeing through the tulips, skipping down the highway of life, crying together, sharing our sadness, sharing our pain, sharing life. And what's that but love? What's that but God? Happiness is circumstantial. Joy is a condition in my heart. That's the absolute certainty that the Creator has entered my heart and lives in a way that's indeed miraculous. The miracle is that I can experience profound joy even in the saddest moments. This is a life beyond my wildest dreams. I know peace. I know serenity. Serenity is a weather term, a seafaring term. Serenity means clear skies and calm seas. I can see clearly now. I won't sing. I promised I would not sing. Life is just a huge song. Life is a row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, merrily, merrily. Life is but a dream. Imagine a life where you can be happy. Imagine a life where you can be free. Imagine a life that is beyond your wildest dreams. Imagine a life where you get to touch someone's hand, put their hand on the hand to the house of God. That's I stand by the door. There are people that know there must be a door, millions of them, hundreds of them, wishing there was a door, knowing there must be a door, but they can't find the door. In AA, we stand outside the door and we take these people's hand and put it on the latch to the house where God is. Find this God, invent this God, build the God. Monica's going to host a Build a God workshop. Somebody thought that was a real thing. But it is sort of. We imagine what we think God could be. But if I limit myself to that, I've stuck God in a box. I come to God every single morning. Morning, God, here I am. Surprise me. That's my version of the set-aside prayer. I'm coming to you empty-handed. I know I don't know a damn thing. And then I say, surprise me, God. And Justin picked up on that. I caught that. What am I asking? God, show me the miracle. Show me, put the people in my path, the Michael Judge prayer. Put the people in my path that you want me to see. Help me reach out. Help me share their life a little bit. Help me bring a little smile to their face. Help me bring a little comfort, compassion, joy. And then Merton also says, love is my true identity. And here's AA. Selflessness is my true self. Love is my true character. Love is my name. I get emotional. Love is the reason for my existence, for God is love. Isn't that it? And this love is our true destiny. So take someone's hand, walk as we trudge this road of happy destiny, of happy God, of happy love. So that's enough out of me. I probably went too long, but nobody's told me to shut the heck up.
Babe, that was awesome. Thank you so much for that share. Really appreciate it. To our live audience here, if you have questions for Babe, please put them in the chat. If you want to stay anonymous, either direct message it to me or say anonymous at the beginning of that. If not, I'll use your first name when I ask the question. I've got a couple of questions here and a couple from the live audience. I'm going to start with one that I have that I kind of want to push back on you, Babe. I want to push back here. You know, and I don't say this is wrong, but you said, hey, imagine this, imagine that, just imagine it, and maybe you can achieve it. You know, while I was in active addiction, I tried all those mind tricks. If I can believe it, I can achieve it, and I can stop my addiction. I can stop by having this mind power, this self-knowledge, this willpower. Talk to us about the difference between that in addiction and trying to quit drinking or whatever it may be versus what you're talking about here.
Oh, that's an excellent question. I thought something and it's gone. It was yesterday. but yeah, what is this imagination thing that is fired? That I imagine acceptance is the answer. Well, I'm an alcoholic, therefore I accept that I'm going to die a slow, painful death. I can imagine what this death looks like. But with the kind of imagination that we're talking about here, is to visualize a relationship with God. Our imagination left to our devices is always selfish and self-centered. But if I imagine myself as a child of God, if I imagine myself as what God would have me be, and then I would have the elements of a relationship that will solve all my problems. So the self-help books, all that stuff is wishful thinking, but it's not visualization of a relationship with God.
Thank you for doing that. I would think, oh, I'm doing this with God. I want God's help, but it's always my will, not yours, be done, rather than your will, not mine, be done. I love this shift here. Thank you, babe, for that. Have a question that came in from Kevin from our live audience. Kevin says, "Babe, how do you handle those meeting days when it seems you've been to enough meetings lately and you can justifiably skip just one meeting here?"
I've been around for 22 years and that hasn't happened yet. This only gets better and better. Look at, I can't even see your faces, you shy little souls. But this is a garden. Every single one of you is like a blossom. Every single meeting is a chance where I get to see some new faces of God. I see the face of God in every single man, woman, and child I cross paths with. And we are the cutest little buttons of flowers that come in here because we're wilted daisies. We're friggin' dandelions that everybody hates. And we get to love the dandelions. I don't come in. I went on a little pissy rant last night. Come all the way and sit all the way down. Don't sit there texting. Don't sit there taking and don't judge the speaker. Don't go to the meeting looking for traditions violators. I go to bring something to the meeting. I also, if I'm paying attention to whoever's speaking, even if I think they're full of shit, I try to pay attention because I might learn something about myself. How can I ever get tired of meetings when they're cheerleading sessions for God? This is as good as church, but that's the same attitude that, well, geez, I go to church on Christmas, Easter, and otherwise as often as possible. That's why it was easy growing up as an Episcopalian, Catholic light. You know? But am I going to church to look up somebody's skirt? Am I going to go into church to get the free wine? Am I going to church? Why am I there? So if it has not gone stale. I ended up in marriage counseling about 7 years into this because my poor wife was becoming an AA widow. I couldn't get enough of AA. I was all gung ho intergroup, all gung ho service work, gung ho sponsoring. Poor Kate saw more of me when I was drunk. I was just not any fun to be with. So for me, this is not worn off. And I think that's the warning at the end is the transition between 10 and 11. If I'm resting on my laurels, it means I'm not putting enough work into this. And I need more prayer and meditation. And if I miss a meeting, I have no guilt at all about missing it, unless I made a commitment to be a speaker, because then I got to make amends. But I have, I don't know how many. I got 4 written down that I'm going to go to today. I'll probably go to more. I may go to less. Wherever I am, God is. And the place I see God the most is in meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous or face to face with God's kids. So I did this the last time too. I gave really windy answers to simple questions.
Oh, babe, fantastic. And I love that. And you mentioned in that answer, you said, "Hey, I don't go into meetings to see where people are violating the traditions." And that takes me to the phrase, I mean, you said something today that I have circled, squared, highlighted, and underlined a few times. You said, "Quit counting." And you said that in the supermarket aisle, if somebody's got 12 items and a 10 item or less thing, quit counting. Just kick back and live life. I am one of those people that wants to count other people's groceries, but when I put mine on there, if I have 11 or 12, don't you look at me. Talk to us a little bit more about the peace and the serenity that comes from that concept of quit counting.
Ah, that's pretty cool because that is a nice analogy, a nice metaphor for looking at my character defects. I'm not a huge believer in, well, I mean, you probably all seen him, that sheet with like 80 character defects, and I'm working on the character defects. And that's not what that says. We're to be aware of them. It doesn't matter if I got 7 deadly sins. Thank God there's only 7 of those. Do I have all of those things? How do they show up? But what am I supposed to? Oh, and I wasn't going to do the paradox of perfection. I'm supposed to aim toward the perfection which is of God. God doesn't care if I have. Is it envy, or is it greed, or is it gluttony? I don't think God really cares. Any one of them is deadly. God, what would you have me be? What would you have me do? And be considerate. Show patience, tolerance, kindness, and love all the time. Huh? What an order. I can't go through with it. The son of a bitch has 12 items on the checkout line, and you want me to be patient and kind. And you know what's interesting? If I just think about being patient, kind, tolerant, loving, altruistic, bringing hope, joy, when I end with that prayer, bringing all the prayers of St. Francis, I find that I've quit counting. I quit the judgment business. I learned that in prayer that, I would pray. It was kind of unselfishly, but I was still treating God like a big suggestion box until God finally said, babe, I don't need your suggestions. Your best ideas almost killed you. And I have the audacity to suggest to God what he ought to be doing in my life. So, and isn't it cool that the word surrender is not even in the big book? But what is surrender? Quit counting.
Mm, I love that definition. What is surrender? To quit counting. I love that, babe. You're like this talk right here is like maturing me in my recovery. There's another thing that I want to bring up. Yeah, can you? Yeah, I can't believe it. Um, but there's another thing I want to bring up that you mentioned that just really floored me. You talked about the ninth step promises there being participation trophies, and that recovery is so much more than that. Talk a little bit more about that, because when I'm talking to somebody and I say, hey, let's turn and read the ninth step promises or the 10th step promises, don't you want those things? Talk to me about the transition from the participation trophies to the design for living, the life worth living.
Ah, well, it goes back to quit counting. When we learn that in making the amends, putting out, we learn it in step 4, but we don't really believe it. Putting out of mind the wrongs of others. Practice that sick man prayer. I'm not praying for him. I'm praying for me. This boob is just as sick as I am. Help me show him the same patience, tolerance, kindness I would cheerfully grant a sick friend. That's why we take these amends are not so I get anything. We do. And in the book, it says at this point, we are trying to put our house in order. That's when these lovely promises come true. But the actual making of the amends is just the finishing touches on what we have learned to this point. Now we got to take it out into the world and get to say to that person, I know I have hurt you. How can I make it right? Because I found out through the amends, I rarely knew the extent of the damage I did. My classic was my wife 10 years down the road. I said, what is the worst thing I ever did to you? And she said, you would make me feel small and stupid and insignificant. And what does Bill say in the 12 and 12? How do we hurt people? Yeah, we'll pay them back their $20, or we'll pay their dental bill because of the false teeth you knocked out of their mouth, which I actually did. But that is really not the amends. It's allowing them a chance to heal. Richard Rohr says we're all just wounded healers. Our pain, and that's all AA is, our pain, our vulnerability can allow someone else to heal. And how can I carry that burden around to the people that I hurt through my whole life? And our friend Biddy says all these the 9-step promise, and especially the 10-step promises, are spectacular byproducts. We don't do it so we get this new freedom. We do this, and because of doing this, we get free. That was sort of short.
No, and I love that perspective. They're not byproducts. It's a natural result. Very good. So, babe, each time I've met you and every time I've heard you speak, it's like you are on a perpetual pink cloud. You're living on the pink cloud that we talk about here. And, sometimes that pink cloud seems to dissipate for me. What advice do you have for me or for anybody else who's like, okay, I was floating around, everything was great and grand, and all of a sudden I'm no longer up there with the Care Bears on the pink cloud giving the Care Bear stare, but I'm now down on the ground in a gray, dreary wilderness. How do you what advice do you have for those people?
Well, and then we did the Simon and Garfunkel song. After it rains, there's a rainbow, but all of the colors are black. It's not that the colors aren't there, it's just imagination they lack. Do the discipline we learn through these 12 steps: prayer, meditation, inventory, when they are interwoven. Don't you like Bill's word, interwoven? Immediately turn my thoughts to someone I can help. Be Billy, get off your ass, go to Charlie Towns Hospital, find somebody, or get enough people in your life that they call you all the time. And by the time both of us cry together, it rarely gets bleak and gray. But I still know profound sadness. I still experience heartbreak. I'm still human. Yeah, you may not believe that. I'm sort of human. The trolls are human too. Be nice to your neighborhood troll, or I look like a garden gnome. But the how we get through the slow days, the gloomy days, is by reaching out and touching somebody else. Try to bring a little hope, even if I'm not feeling it at the moment. And it's amazing. I've got 2 sponsees that are going through really sad, tough times. Then they call often, which is a very good thing to do. Or if you're dark and gloomy, call your sponsor. The phone does work that way. Or if you're a sponsor, which I'm not good at. I'm not good at that part of the 10th step of picking up the phone and calling somebody, because people are always calling me. But when it starts getting a little slow, a little gray, what does it say? That he came right out and said when he went there, he was miraculously set on his feet. And if I'm living in a miracle and standing on my feet, it's kind of hard to be an upright Eeyore.
I love that, an upright Eeyore. Thank you for sharing that, and the imagery you bring about is fantastic, babe. I really appreciate it. So, another thing you said, and we'll start wrapping it up. We'll start wrapping this up. We have a comment here from our live audience here, and he wants to have you address this. Okay. This comment says, when we went over my manifestation of self yesterday, where I knew my new guy was sick and we agreed that an amends by me was in order, you said that was our design for living, a way out of anything. Thanks, babe. Can you elaborate on that, comment on that a little bit more?
Sure. Bringing truth. That's the big one. That is, Bill actually capitalizes T, another name for the spirit. bring truth. And yeah, we were talking, and two of us know exactly who we're talking about. This is the same guy that sent the question, and am I sober by God's grace, or is it my responsibility? The answer is both, by the way. And he thought he was being a smartass, and then he found out he was the speaker. These are always, and they're real down-to-earth questions. You know, if somebody is living a lie, living the way that this person is, sometimes the truth sounds blunt. It doesn't sound like love, but it is in loving. You know, I don't particularly like that. I'd rather hurt your feelings than cry at your funeral. Capital T. We can tell the truth, but we don't have to use it like a sledgehammer. I'm still working on that.
That was powerful. I'd rather hurt your feelings than cry at your funeral, but do it with love. No, this is good. Thank you so much, babe. Before we start wrapping up here, I'd like to ask you if you have any final words of wisdom that you'd like to share with us.
Yeah, I do. We realize we know only a little, but God will show us more. I don't know anything. If anything I touched you made sense, ha! Welcome to Looney Tunes. It's anonymous.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much, babe. All right. So we're going to wrap this up, and then we'll have you close us out with the prayer of St. Francis here in just a minute. But real quick closing reading. Thank you so much, babe, for a fantastic RICO 12 weekly speaker meeting. You brought the energy again. You matured me in recovery, and I appreciate that. And I'm sure many people will also grow from this. If anybody in the live audience has any other questions or would like to, comment more, please consider joining our WhatsApp community. You can email me at rico12pod@gmail.com to join in there. We had really good conversation going in that community this morning. So keep coming in there and ask questions, pose experience, strength, and hope. And if you haven't already done so, please consider rating and reviewing the podcast on Apple Podcasts, like the 12 and 12 Forever person did earlier today. Appreciate that. It's a powerful way to work step 12 and getting this message out to others. Next Friday, we will be hearing from another first-time speaker with RICO 12, Debbie S., who will be speaking on her chosen topic of ninth step healing. I really look forward to her talk. Stay tuned on WhatsApp and the WhatsApp community and on our email list for more information on that. And if you aren't yet on the email list, please consider doing so. You can send me an email at rico12pod@gmail.com, and I can get you added to that. Now, let's launch off into the rest of our day with the prayer of St. Francis that Babe is going to say for us.
And yeah, it can be a launching pad for the rest of our life. This is our job description. Lord, make me a channel of thy peace. Where there is hatred, I may bring love. That where there is wrong, I may bring the spirit of forgiveness. Where there is discord, I may bring harmony. That where there is error, I may bring truth. That where there is doubt, I may bring faith. That where there is despair, I love this one, I may bring hope. That where there are shadows, I may bring light. That where there is sadness, I may bring joy. Lord, grant that I may seek rather to comfort than to be comforted, to understand than to be understood, to love than to be loved. For it is by self-forgetting that one finds, it is by forgiving that one is forgiven, it is by, I don't know about this, by dying to self that one awakens to eternal life. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, babe. And I'm going to go out just a little bit different this time than I typically do. Life is a huge song. That's something that Babe said in this. Whether that song is the Beatles, Simon and Garfunkel, Led Zeppelin, whoever it is, sing along. Come join with us in this chorus as we sing, as we trudge the road of happy destiny together. Work it, you are worth it.
standing on the landscape of this life of mine. Peaks too high to conquer, streams too wide to cross, troughs too deep to walk through without incurring loss. Yet here I am, still standing tall, despite the rough terrain. One like me survived the storms and walked through wind and rain. Still standing, I will fight the good fight. Still searching for glimmers of light. Feet still on the ground, I can still be found, standing still.
My wings are torn and tattered, but I know I still can fly. I may not soar unfettered, I may not rise too high.
Recorded in the book of life and bind it with the seal.